Hello.
Hi.
Kayla Lords.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help kinksters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. Another Q&A kind of episode, video. I don't know what to call them. And before I get any concerned comments, I know I look tired. I didn't wear makeup for this. We're time traveling. So during the live stream that we'll have published before this, I'll say why, but yeah, no, I know I look tired. I probably look sick. It's okay. I just didn't wear makeup. It's fine. You don't have to comment. It's fine. That's not what we're here to talk about. This week, we're answering a question from a submissive who wants rewards as part of their power exchange, but isn't really satisfied with how that's going. Okay, let's get into this question.
Okay.
Here we go. I'm in a 24/7 DS poly-ish relationship. My dom is a primal gentleman and I'm a service sub. My dom has only rewarded me 2 times in the past 3 years, and it's breeding resentment in me. One reward was something I needed for work. I farm and I needed raised beds. I waited 6 months for permission. After modifying them a bajillion times to suit his anxieties and desires, I was about to finally make my purchase. He stopped me, bought the materials, and built part of it with me. It's still not fully assembled, and I can still only use 3/4 of it. The other thing I didn't even want, cheap t-shirts and the kind of hats I specifically told him I didn't want to wear. I felt like he gave me the gift he should have given his young adult daughter. I didn't say that, of course. I didn't want to sound ungrateful. I buy him gifts and necessities all the time, like to the point where I had to pull back because he will always say yes to what he wants. I pay bills in the house, all but the mortgage. I work from home. He works out of the house. We earn equal income. When do or even do submissives get to choose their own rewards? Are rewards part of negotiation? What do you think about additional acts of service as a reward? That sounds usury to me. Good job. Now do more work. Thank you for all your vulnerability and effort and time. I actually need your podcast to stay sane. So, what are your initial thoughts?
A lot going on there. First, right out of the gate, it sounds a little one-sided.
Yes,
okay?
Absolutely.
Also, should rewards be part of the negotiation? Abso-freaking-lutely. Rewards just as punishment. Okay, that's right. All.
2 sides of the same coin.
2 sides of the same coin are all part of the negotiation.
Right, because a reward is only a reward if it's something that you are genuinely happy to receive, you want, it feels right to you, and your partner might not know what that is if you haven't had the conversation about them, which in terms of power exchange, yeah, that's going to be a negotiation is what we would call that, yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of speaking off the cuff here. I don't really know either person. It sounds to me a little bit like this dom doesn't really have a clue.
It does.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It sounds like vanilla relationships I've had where hetero cis relationships where the woman is buying all the gifts and being really thoughtful and the guy's just clueless. And yes, that can occur even in power exchange because that's skills that need to be learned.
Right.
And, yeah.
So, yeah, you know, I mean, when we've done stuff like this, I've always come to you and like, you know, all right, what would you like for a reward?
Right. What's going to feel like a reward?
And you have given me a list, and out of that list, you know, I then pick and choose.
That way you know that I'm guaranteed to like whatever it is, but you still get the control and power of being the one to decide what it is, when I get it.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, to a certain extent too, I think maybe I'm a little bit more self-aware, not saying that other people aren't, but you know, I kind of keep an eye out and see the things that you ooh and ah over.
You're really good at that, yeah.
You know, like, okay, mental note, you know, that would make a gift.
I know people in and out of kink relationships who have created a habit for themselves of when they hear their partner or a friend or anybody they might give a gift to at some point say, hey, I like that. They just literally get their phone and open their notes app and make a note so that they can refer back to it later.
Right.
But that's for the person who didn't ask the question.
Yeah.
The person who's struggling is the one who's not getting great gifts.
Yeah. Now, I
rewards,
will say on that aspect too, not everybody is a good gift giver.
Oh, no. It's a skill that
Okay.
has to be cultivated.
Yeah. There are the Claires of the world.
From Modern Family,
Yeah.
if you didn't know the reference. Mm-hmm.
So, and it could just be possible, this submissives, they talk about, giving gifts and different things like that. It could very well be possible their love language
Is
to give gifts.
And then maybe to receive, a reward is a version of a gift from a power exchange perspective. Rewards are often part of positive reinforcement, which is something we've talked about in the past. It's something that we use within our relationship. It goes beyond you're a service submissive or you're any kind of submissive. You did what you were supposed to do, so what do you want, a cookie for that? It's like, yeah, maybe I do want a cookie. I want acknowledgement. I want to know that you're happy with me. And in this person's case, they want rewards for stuff. Clearly not all the time, not in a way that renders it meaningless. To have tolerated, I hesitate to call these rewards, but to air quote rewards in 3 years, I'd be pissy. I'd be so pissy if that was me. And not because I do things for the reward, but it's the acknowledgement and it's the effort.
It's the acknowledgement, it's the effort, and it also goes back to something we've talked about a lot of times in the past, filling that well.
Yes. Yeah, if I'm giving and giving, and I feel like I can really speak to this as a service submissive too. If I'm constantly giving and I don't feel like it's being returned in some way on a consistent enough basis that I go, yeah, this makes it worth all this hard work or effort or, extra time or whatever, or being tired or whatever it might be, or the stretching of my own comfort level to do new things in service of my partner. Yeah, I mean, if you're not feeling a little resentful, you're better than me, because after all that time, I'd be like, where's my Diet Coke? For me, that's a reward, right?
Right.
Where is my Diet Coke I didn't ask for? So to answer the specific questions, yes, you can, as a submissive, choose your own reward.
Sure.
The way you do that will be determined by how you've structured your power exchange, how you communicate with your partner, and then this very second question of how you negotiate it. Like JB said, the way we tend to do it is he will have a list of things that he knows I like or have said I've wanted or have, he's caught me checking them out maybe in a store.
Simple observation, yeah.
Right. And then he's going to pick from the list of what he knows I like. Is quite, frankly, almost identical to the way we've seen. You have the laundry list of all the things I am willing to do and like to do in kink, and it's like there's like a fence around everything. Everything outside of the fence is a hard limit. Don't do it. And then you pick and choose from within that, what is a word
repertoire.
I want? Thank you. Whatever. Just within all of the options. So it's not, for the person who's like, well, if the submissive says these are the rewards I want, then they've taken the control away from the dominant. No, the fuck they haven't. They've made sure that their wishes, wants, needs, likes are heard and seen, and here's so you can't fuck this up. I'm going to be happy with any of this. And then all the power and control is still with the dominant. The thing, the last question, let me do the last question real quick before I go into my little annoyance mini rant. What do you think about additional acts of service as a reward? Look, if you are a person who does not do a lot of service as your submission, like you're not really a service sub, or there are certain things that you and your partner have talked about in an erotic way, in a kink way, in a, ooh, this excites us both mutually way, that from the outside looking in would look like service, but you're both into it and maybe it's going to be a super hot kink scene. Yeah, if that does it for you, then service as a reward, because the outcome of that service is something that you find pleasurable, or the act of that service is outside of your norm and something you find pleasurable. Yeah, sure. But I'd be cranky if I got more work as a quote reward.
I mean, at that point, then you're just adding on the proverbial straws that broke the camel's back.
Right. But all of these questions aside, our thoughts on that, we're basically, to the person who asked this question, we're on your side. The first thing I have to ask, and it does tend to get lost, and it's not specifically explained here, so I have to ask the question. Have you talked to your partner?
Right.
That's the first step in all of this. And I recognize for, depending on your power exchange and how comfortable you are with this and where you're at and how y'all communicate, it can feel demanding to go to your Dom and be like, I had to wait 6 months for this reward. Thank you for it, but it's not complete. What are we going to do about it? That can feel demanding. Mm-hmm. And, there are some people out there who go, well, you just need to bring it up like that. I'm not that person. That's not my style. So what I would say is, however you communicate things, if that's a skill y'all have developed together, that are not always great. Like sometimes you have to tell your Dom a hard thing, right? I didn't like that scene. This is now a hard limit. I didn't know, whatever, right? Hard things come up. This is another one of those conversations. So however you usually would approach that, you got to approach this the same way. There's this thinking that because something was labeled a gift or a reward, we as the recipient, and this is a societal thing, not just a submissive thing, we're just supposed to be grateful for it. Well, if you gave me something I didn't want, didn't ask for, and or created more work for me, I don't have to be fucking grateful for anything.
That's true.
Okay?
True.
I don't have to bow down to people and kiss their fucking ass because they didn't listen to anything I ever told them and decided that they knew me better or that they didn't care enough and just handed off some crap. I'm not saying that's what your Dom has done, but I'm also not saying you don't have every right to be a little to a lot cranky about it. So you have every right to bring this up and go, hey, so rewards are a really important thing to me within our power exchange, and I've noticed that it's not consistent. And also, here are 2 examples, and I didn't feel rewarded. Now, how you're going to talk to your partner depends on a lot of factors. Not the biggest is probably how you approach these things and how you know that they might react to it. That affects things. Sure. I'm going to approach you in a very gentle way when I think that the subject is touchy. I'm going to be my snarky, sassy self when I feel confident that you can, you'll accept that. Right. You won't shut down from what I'm telling you. So if this feels like a touchy subject, be gentle with it, ease into it. Don't, come out the gate swinging with snark. That might not work for y'all. I'm going to assume it probably doesn't. But that's the first step. You've got to have this conversation with them and say, what you're happy to do, what you're glad you get to do, how fulfilling things are. Right. And then it's kind of that sandwich you do of the good thing, the bad thing, and then you end on a positive, right? It doesn't always work, and sometimes it's disingenuous. But I like to start with the positives. Hey, here's what's going great. Here's what I'm happy. This works for me. Here's what I would like us to work on.
This needs improvement. Right.
Can you help me with this? Yeah. And how that conversation goes will depend a lot on how they react. Now, the other thing I would say, because in my experience, just from having talked to people in this way for so long, is that sometimes these issues aren't the only issues, or they're a symptom of a larger issue. So is your service acknowledged verbally in a way that you feel satisfied with? Do you feel seen in your power exchange? Do you feel like your partner shows and acknowledges what you do, and there's gratitude being exchanged between the two of you? If you do, and this is just a little sticking issue, to me that conversation should not be that difficult, because you can point out, look, you do this really well and this makes me feel great, but this is a thing where I can feel the resentment building. I'm gonna tell you, that's a hard conversation. There have been times in the not too distant past where I've had to go to JB and go, here, let me acknowledge the things that I know are true and that are struggles for both of us. I see the reality. I see that you're working hard. I see that you're stressed. I know what our life is like. But okay, yeah, I see you. And I'm trying to validate him, because it's hard to then go, but here's the deal. I can feel the resentment building, and I don't know what to do about that. And so then in that kind of conversation, I can throw the ball in his court and go, here's how I'm feeling. Here's how we've gotten here in the past. What can we do together to work on this? But it's not easy to tell your partner that. No,
it's not. But at the same time, if resentment is building,
that'll kill a relationship in a heartbeat.
That's going to, and you can keep it bottled up inside.
It's going to come out some way.
At some point, it's just going to blow like a volcano and come pouring out.
And it's one of those things that what'll happen is most likely you may blow up at a thing that does not seem proportional to the anger you're showing, or you may hit a point where it doesn't matter the good parts of the relationship, you're done. And then those partners go, it came out of nowhere. It's like, nah, this didn't come out of nowhere. This was months, years, decades in the building. You just weren't paying attention. So if you have not had the conversation with your partner, that's where you start. Right. If they're trying to push back and say that you don't get to choose rewards, you get to push back and go, well, we need to have this conversation because you have not filled my well. Okay. You haven't been consistent enough, and you haven't given me things that make me feel rewarded. So let's talk about the things I need, and then please choose from that. Because if you give me something outside of that, or something outside of a conversation we've had where I would appreciate this, it's not a reward, and I will not take it as such. The way they respond to being told that you are dissatisfied with something as they're submissive will give you some insight as to how to carry on and move forward. It is not easy to hear a negative thing, but if it's coming across as constructive criticism in the sense of, I want you to be good at this, I want us to handle this well, I want to move forward with this. If they're dismissive of you, I'm going to bet they're dismissive of you in other areas. If they may need time, they may need to walk away and come back and like sit with their own hurt feelings, and that's a them problem for them to solve. That is not for you to take on or for you to solve for them. If they can come back from hurt feelings or whatever and have the adult conversation with you, then I think you can get there. It might take a few conversations and some changing of how they look at things, but
and what you said about constructive criticism is so true. Don't come out of the gate saying, this is crap.
Right. This sucks. You suck. Everything sucks.
Right.
We're not getting nowhere with that.
It may suck, but
that may be true, but that's
may be
not
true. But you don't come out of the gate that way. Constructive criticism is a good thing. It's like, hey, things have been going pretty good lately. I'm happy about the way things are, but there's a couple things that could use a little bit of improvement.
Right. Here's some things I need. I like to come at you with, here's what I need that I'm not receiving. I'm a fawner when it comes to I'm gonna try and ease paths because I have like conflict stuff that I don't handle well, and that's a me thing. So everybody's got their own style with this. But I like to start with, here's what I'm happy with. Here's what you're doing well. Or I like to go, let me acknowledge what I know is tough for you. Let me acknowledge where things have been rough, where you've been stressed. Where I like to put that out there first and then go, all that being said, here's what I need. And I don't know how we're going to get there. Here's what didn't go well. And I need you to know. Those conversations become easier the more you do them. The more you do them, if a partner is a good partner for you and is actively trying, the less you need to have those conversations. They don't stop completely. I mean, we've been together 10 years and there are absolutely still times one of us has to go, okay, I see what you're trying to do and I see you trying, but this isn't working for me. This is what I need instead. And not only are we all fucking adults here and should be able to have these conversations, this is power exchange. These kinds of conversations have to happen because your dom is not a mind reader. If you've been unhappy with things, but you've never said anything, they can't improve on it, right? Doms also need to realize that they can't possibly be mind readers and want the feedback. Let me go back to what I said at the top. How you do that might be determined by your power exchange. There might be certain times, there might be ways of speaking to one another that you've built into your power exchange. Like JB's rule with me is I can say anything I have to say to him. Anything on my mind, I just have to be respectful about it. And the reverse is true. I might not want to hear that I followed down on the job.
It goes both ways, yeah.
But as long as he comes at me with kindness and love and respect, he can say whatever he needs to say.
Right.
How I feel about it and how I react to it, that's my problem to deal with and to work through. And sometimes we can work through that together, and sometimes I got to go off to my corner and pout by my damn self and then go, but wait, this relationship is more important to me than my hurt feelings. Let's work through this. That's what mature adults who have or are learning communication skills are going to do. I hope your partner is like that. I hope that you can approach your dom in a way that works for your power exchange and go, hey, this hasn't been working for me.
Right.
And then you can have the conversation, but you have to have that conversation. So while Lola is howling in the background, we're going to let her keep howling for a minute. Let's recap.
Yeah.
Yes, submissives can choose to a certain degree their own rewards. That can be very explicit of, in this situation, give me this. Or it can be, here's my laundry list of things I like, and your dom picks. Yes, rewards are part of negotiation, just as much as punishment is, just as much as consequences, just as much as any other part of a power exchange. And no, I'm not a fan as more service as an air quote reward, personally. But the first step is you got to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And from there, then you may know how to move forward. So, if you got any...
I think we've covered it.
Okay.
If
you have thoughts on this question, because I can feel it out there. Somebody got, you were pissed that this is happening to this person, and you've got serious thoughts. Share those in the comments below. We can all learn from one another. We all have different perspectives on this. So yeah, share. If you have your own question you'd like us to answer in a future one of these videos, we have a link in our description box from our website. It literally says ask questions, and it'll come to us as an email, and it may be a future video. If you enjoy this, we'd love a thumbs up. If you like it enough to want to come back for more, please consider subscribing.
And once you subscribe, just go ahead and ring the notification bell to get updates and new content.
Just do what Daddy says. Life is easier when you just do what Daddy says. If you really like what we do, want to help us keep doing it and do more of it, get access to a Discord server, more content, blah, 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 you can join us on Patreon, patreon.com/KLords, or use the link in the description box. Bye!